So, if you are exploring or considering ditching diets and eating more intuitively, it's very likely that you have some hesitations or even some fears. I know I definitely did. I even had a false start where I started it and I stopped. I was not ready. And one of the things that I noticed is that when I fully committed to doing this and really allowing myself to surrender to the process and eat more intuitively, there were three stages that emerged. And so that's what I want to share with you today is the three stages that I experienced. And these are my personal experience and absolutely not scientific. But based on other stories I've heard, this is actually sort of common. So I want to tell you a little bit about that today. And maybe this can give you some more information as you consider ditching diets. Now, if we have not met, my name is Kat, and Ditching Diets and Die is all about my personal journey to stop fighting my body and start trusting it instead. So these three stages, which are definitely not scientific, these are things that I experienced, but only after I fully committed. So when I fully committed and said, okay, I'm going to do this thing, the first stage that I experienced was, are we really doing this? Like there was still this, I wasn't fully convinced that this was real. Because when you start to trust your body and eat based on intuition, you are allowing yourself to eat what you feel like eating, when you feel like eating it, and how much. And you really are going based on what your body is telling you. But it can be really scary if you have been following diet culture or external food rules, or if you've been a restrained eater for a long time, which I was. I always had a lot of rules around what I should eat and shouldn't eat. So to actually let that completely go is a little bit of an unbalancing act, let's say. And so there was that, is this happening? Now, once I actually realized, yeah, this is happening, I've got this, then I entered what I call stage 2, here we go. It's sort of a, here goes nothing, we're all in, let's give this a go. Now, during this period, this is where I really said, I am going to eat what I feel like eating. Now, if you have been restricting yourself for years, there's a very good chance that you're going to have an eclectic and diverse diet of things for a while. And when I say diet, I mean things you're eating. For example, when I would go to the grocery store, when I fully embraced and I was in the here we go, I would look around and if there was something that caught my eye and I thought, hey, I haven't had that in a while, like toaster strudels. I haven't had toaster strudels since my early 20s, I think. But one day at the grocery store, I said, I feel like trying those again. Now, I only ever brought one box in the house and afterwards realized, not that great. But the point was allowing myself to not have any forbidden food and just to eat what I felt like eating. Scary at first, but once I adopted it, it actually felt really freeing. And I could tell that experiencing it firsthand by actually allowing myself to buy the thing and eat that food was a really important part of the process. And so I couldn't just stop myself somewhere in the middle. I had to keep honoring that process and eating the foods that I felt like eating at that moment. And that was a really important part of here we go. Now, if I'm being honest, which I am, there was a part of me that's like, how long is this gonna last? Because I was kind of worried. I was eating more food than usual. My body was changing. And I just kind of thought, is this an unending? Will this never end? But I knew from my research that yes, most people start to kind of stabilize and find that middle ground. And I did. And that third phase is what I am calling the release, meaning this release from feeling like you need to keep experimenting or feeling like you need to keep trying things out. It's like I finally got to a point where I did trust myself and I could tell that I was naturally just starting to gravitate actually back to a lot of my favorite meals, comforting meals. There were a few new things that I brought in and have kept, but I really started just focusing on my body was saying it wanted certain things, especially seasonal things as we get into the fall here in Canada, craving things that are fresh and local and just, but it's calmer, I think is the way I would put it. So that release is that I don't have these, okay, I need to keep trying, I need to keep testing my boundaries. It's like I've had a really good test and my body is now saying, okay, I think you're actually pretty good at knowing what you want. And I'm still experimenting with some foods, but it doesn't have that testing feeling that middle stage did of here we go, where it really felt like I was actively trying to break down barriers that previously existed. And now I look around and I just don't feel like I have those same barriers. So I don't feel like I have to push back against them. It's kind of like I've knocked a lot of them down. Now I'm sure that there will still be some barriers to come, but I just feel calmer in this process. And I did not know when that would happen. And it's different for everyone, but it's real. And I have experienced it and I wanted to share that. Now, my hope is that by sharing this information, if you are thinking about ditching diets and just giving them up and putting them behind you, that these are 3 of the stages that I've experienced, and it sounds like there are some other people who have experienced something similar. And I'd just like to reaffirm that it did happen for me. So I hope this information was helpful. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. So please let me know in the comments. And as always, if you find this video at all helpful, then I encourage you to subscribe and get notifications.